So it's been a while since my last video, and that's because I went into a pretty strong detox. I'm not exactly sure what set it off. If it was, those moldy berries I ate, because I know they may not affect you immediately. It might take a week or 2 or 3 for them to kind of kick in and work their magic. I also ate, I got some oysters at the fish market, and they were not great. So I had, an episode in May, a detox, which I'm pretty sure was brought on by the oysters I ate, because I had like a meningitis type thing going on. And then I developed pneumonia. And if you read We Want to Live about those conditions, it says that if you have meningitis, usually it happens in kids, but even if you're an adult, you can still get it. If you get that, you could have pneumonia, because basically you use up some mucus and your body's stressed and your lungs just become more sensitive and you cough up a bunch of stuff, basically. I didn't get that this time, thankfully. I did have a bit of a dry cough after, but this detox was mostly abdominal, intestinal, and it happened after a hot bath. So this was interesting because, I've heard of this happening in the Q&A. Exogenous was mentioning one of his clients who was around industrial manufacturing. He took a bath, long hot lymph bath, and afterwards he wouldn't stop sweating, and he was, detoxing. He was ill for 3 days, and he could smell chemicals or something coming out of his body, and that happened. So usually when I take a bath, it helps me feel better and relax. But after my bath a couple Sundays ago, I was laying down and watching a movie, Eastern Promises, great little film. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. And I just started getting like a fever kind of, and I needed to be warm. I was sweating, and then my stomach started to feel real rough. And my cheese shipment got lost in the mail, so I haven't had cheese for about a week at this point, almost. And it was pretty rough, and I was like, well, I'll make a milkshake with some clay. I did that, and then I threw up, and it just cascaded from there. I got really bad. I didn't take my temperature, but I had a fever of at least 102, because that's what it was the next day when I took my temp. I couldn't sleep, and I started to get that headache, that meningitis type thing. That didn't last very long. It only lasted like 2, maybe 3 days. Then it finally went away. The worst part was not having cheese and having this abdominal thing. And I don't know if it was because, I've had a lot of weight on, and I've cycled off, some of it, like 5 to 10 pounds. I will lose, and then I'll start to gain weight again. I don't like to be without too much weight. So I don't know if it was just the fat around my intestines. It was just time to go, time to detox. I tried the milkshake. I threw that up. I tried some eggs. That didn't really help. So I made a limeade, and I'd sip on that. It kind of helped a little bit. Just tried to stay under the covers and keep myself comfortable. Just had the TV on. Couldn't really sleep. And this went on for like a few days. I stopped throwing up on day 2, but I still felt just really bad intestinal pains. I couldn't really eat much, which kind of worried me, but I was talking to someone who was on the diet for 20 years, and he said, don't worry about, not being able to eat. If you want to keep the detox going, eat the eggs. I was already detoxing enough, so I didn't really need more. So he just suggested, make sport formula variations, without the eggs, your tomatoes, your cucumbers, and see if that helps. I was eating, I had some of that bread from Healthfully Farm, kind of came in clutch. Oh yeah, the diarrhea. It was the worst diarrhea I've ever had. Basically just pissing out my ass for like a week. And I'm not like I'm not really like against diarrhea. It doesn't really bother me usually, but this time it bothered me because I had to go like every 15-30 minutes. Even if I didn't have anything on my stomach, I just was dumping constantly. In the evening time, I had some bread and butter. I had some of that bread from Healthfully Farm, and I was like, okay, maybe this will help kind of like, you know, solidify things. And surprisingly, it didn't. It had no effect. Just straight liquid, which was actually very surprising to me, because usually like a starch or something that does that, but whatever I was dumping was really bad. And I know it was some sort of metals too, because, you know, I don't know if it was like the metals in my stomach and other places in my body, but like my teeth got real sensitive, and I know it's like a metal detox when my teeth get sensitive because of it's coming out of my gums, and you can almost taste it in a way. I don't remember checking my tongue too much. I didn't really see too much going on there. Had a lot of night sweats also, which is a good thing because it means your detox is coming to an end and there's cellular regeneration. So that's a good thing. It is kind of annoying when you have to change your clothes and they're wet at night because you wake up, you're cold, or, you know, it's frustrating. But yeah, my cheese finally came in Thursday, and then I was still having really bad diarrhea. It was less frequent, but it was not solidified at all, even with eating the cheese. I must have eaten like a pound of cheese a day for, you know, 2 or 3 days to get everything straightened out. But the cheese really helped the intestinal pain and everything that I was having. So, you know, it's always a good idea to try to have extra cheese on hand, because you never know when you're going to hit a detox. You know, my cheese got lost in the mail, just bad luck, and then this happened. I didn't take a hot bath for this detox because I was worried that I'd make it and I wouldn't be able to stay in because I was low on nutrients. And you know, my meningitis, the head stuff, was not that bad. It wasn't as bad as it was, because like it went away in a few days, so I was like, I don't really know if it's worth it, because I kind of wanted to save my milk in case I needed it. The milk again was not great for my stomach either. It was too much sugar. I tried sipping on kefir, and even that was not great. So it's just like I had a lot of tomatoes on hand, thankfully, so I'd just snack on tomatoes. I'd make some limeade and just sip on that. You know, that really came in clutch. And, you know, making sport formulas. So, you know, that's, if you go through a detox like that, the best thing you can do is have cheese. And then if you don't have an appetite, don't worry about it. Just try to keep your electrolytes up, and your body will kind of like work through everything that it's trying to work through. I think on day 4, I probably ate like a little bit of fish, like just like a couple bites of fish and some tomatoes. And then the day after that, I tried to eat some beef. And I kept it down, you know, I was keeping the food down, but I was still having diarrhea, so I wasn't really able to eat much besides the bread and the butter, you know, which was still really kind of hard to get down. It was dry and not, you know, that great. It wasn't even that like filling, like even compared to when I was healthy and I had a slice in that unboxing video. You know, I was pretty full from that, but I didn't really feel full. I just felt uncomfortable. And, you know, I think that the cooked starch maybe helped absorb some things, but it didn't solidify my stool at all, which was surprising, very surprising. I almost made some rice with some tomatoes and butter and cheese, but I decided not to do that because I was kind of getting over it, and I didn't really want to eat any more starches. So, you know, I was hoping the bread would be more helpful, but really the cheese, God, I just can't stress enough, the cheese really just comes in clutch. It's so awesome. Yeah, it makes a world of a difference. So I don't even know if, because I didn't have cheese, that I had this detox, because I have not been without cheese in over like 2 years. I've always had cheese every day, pretty much. Even if it's just a couple bites, you know, for cheese trains. I've always had a little bit of cheese. So not having that, maybe that did something. Maybe it was the hot bath that did something, I don't know. It was pretty hot that day. It was like 90. Didn't have the AC on, so the bathroom was already nice and hot. It was a good hot bath session, don't get me wrong, but maybe it triggered something. So that's why I haven't made videos in a while, because I've been busy with that and other stuff. So yeah, later.